Hey, what's up, pro wrestling fans? Welcome to the Nation's Corner. I am Front Row. Joining me, as always, is Tony Justice, the greatest truck driver of all time. Mongrovian Mike, and special guest tonight, Stephen Wyand from Our Nation's Show. What's up, people?
My man.
Yeah, what's going on, brothers?
How we doing?
Good, how
I
you doing?
mislabeled you. It's Our Nation's Sports Show. Sorry, I fucked it up.
You had one job.
I know. Dude, I've had a lot of caffeine today. I'm sorry. Okay.
Hey, it happens. It happens.
We have so much stuff to talk about this week. It has been a week of eventful goings on. There's been emergency podcasts from Dave LaGreca, Sam Roberts, pretty much everybody that we enjoy seeing updates from. It's been a week of craziness. So let's start here. I want to get into AEW Revolution, but we have to talk about what happened this week with our friend of the show, a man who was just on the show a few weeks ago, Dave LaGreca, shows up on The Rock's Instagram, and sort of everything explodes. So yeah. I kind of want to get all of your feelings, like what were you thinking when you saw that? So let me start with you, Tony.
Well, first of all, seeing a 21-minute promo from The Rock and then talking about the Cody Crybabies, and all of a sudden a familiar sight shows up on The Rock's Instagram. I'm like, holy crap, it's Dave and Bully and Mark. And you know, Dave all disheveled in Violetta's bathrobe. Yeah, I mean, come on. Busted Open just went to another stratosphere now with showing up on The Rock's social media. I think that they're building towards something, possibly The Rock coming on Busted Open, hopefully before WrestleMania 40. We can all hope and pray. But man, seeing Dave on The Rock's Instagram, I mean, I know he was bouncing off the walls when he realized that, just knowing Dave personally. But hearing his emergency pod after, and having the reaction, the whole thing. I mean, amazing. I cannot wait to hear. No matter what we talk about tonight, I cannot wait to hear what Bully and Mark have to say about it on Monday with Dave. I cannot wait to get that feedback. But yeah, that was a tremendous sight seeing that on The Rock social media.
Yeah, so just to add to that, because I want to get everybody's input on this, The Rock has 400 million followers on Instagram. Busted Open and all of the hosts, Dave, Bully, Mark, Tommy, Thunder, Mickey, everybody now just got put into a different conversation from a broadcasting perspective. Yeah. Of course, the names I just mentioned are veterans in the business, and they have their own accolades. But now, as broadcasters, they're now part of something that has grown to the point where The Rock is promoting it. Yes, he's a heel promo. I get it totally. Mike, where do you think they go from here?
What I mean. It had to come. It had to come as such a surprise to them, man. They must have been like just scrambling to like, what the hell's going on? And Dave, to his credit, had an immediate response after the show, which is going to go down in classic rant history, pink robe and all. So,
yeah.
Best 7 minutes in a long time.
Yeah.
Sure. It's a PG show.
Yeah, it really, you know what? In the Rock speaking in the third, it doesn't matter what I think.
Right.
That was wild. That promo, and it was 40 minutes long, or nearly 40 minutes, and it didn't feel like it, right?
Yeah. Hey, real quick, I want to go to the chat. Real quick, I want to go to the chat. We've got Niels in the chat. Mac Davis, as always. Thanks, Mac, for Mac.
What's up, my friend?
For the support always. We've got Thomas and RJ and RA's out there. Trend is out there. Holy crap. Deb's on location.
Yeah.
Our own Debhausen.
# Nation's Corner on location.
Yep. Atlantic All-Star Wrestling today. Awesome.
Rand RJ is in there.
Yeah, Johnny Boy's there with her and Seth.
Cool.
Yep.
Wow. So much going on.
Everybody.
Steven, if all the stars align and we're able to get The Rock on Busted Open, would you like to see him before WrestleMania or after WrestleMania?
It would be really intriguing if it was before, but if I had to think, it's got to be after. And I remember yesterday scrolling through Twitter and reading, oh shit, LaGreca and Busted Open just got mentioned on The Rock's Instagram. And I was like, are you serious? And then, as true as it could be, there it was, the retweet, and then the Rock's video. And then I went and listened to Rock's video, and just it was unbelievable because a few minutes in, and then you hear, and then y'all saw Dave, and I'm like, oh my God, this is as real can be. And I loved how The Rock was just crap talking Dave. What do? You do your show from your basement, this type of stuff. And LaGreca, as quick as he responded, as far as gathered, all that type of stuff, and after watching that video and came up with that response, everybody yesterday knocked a home run or two out of the park. Everybody did their job, did it very well. It was very well executed on both parties.
Well, not only that, but pissed Violetta off too. I mean,
to the point where she even said, like, seeing my husband in my robe, and he's calling him a jabroni. I don't know what a jabroni is, but hell, I want to make my own video too. And I was like, pop, major pop.
Yeah, Steven. She was ready. She was ready to saddle up one of those bears outside and start charging the gates like Putin.
Feed the bear.
Yeah, she was ready to go, man. Yeah.
I mean, LaGreca looked like he was ready to go for a fight last night because he was in that camera. He was like, look at me. I was like, oh shit. And he's just ranting and raving and just going crazy. And then he throws the mic down. Fucking asshole. Just walks off. Boom. Great. It was great. I mean, just incredible. Like The Rock's whole thing yesterday for 21 minutes. Like that was amazing because it got a reaction out of everybody. There were fans going, oh my God, he stepped too far. He gotcha. Because he was in full character. It was phenomenal.
And I want to talk about the promo itself and SmackDown, but it was funny because somebody sent me a link to the Instagram feed, and I was like, okay. And all they said was, "Oh my God, Rock is spitting fire and whatever." I said, "Okay, I'll watch this." So I'm watching it, and I was holding it in I was watching on my phone, and then all of a sudden I saw Bully and Mark and Dave, and I'm like, "Oh, I thought I had flipped to another video. I thought I had flipped to like the Busted Open channel."
Yeah.
And then then they cut back to The Rock, and I'm like, "Oh my God, like this is on The Rock's video. This isn't like a little thing. Like this is an entire clip from the show." Like, holy crap. So that was my experience, like just complete shock. And then he goes on to cut a promo on Dave. That's just, like you said, I can't imagine. I'm really excited. I know Dave cut that promo in a response to The Rock, but I'm really interested to hear what his perspective was when he first saw it. So, but the promo itself was interesting to me because, and I know they talked about it on Busted Open this morning with Matt Camp and Tommy Dreamer about, you mentioned it, Steven, did The Rock go too far? Did he pull the curtain back too far? And I think, as Sam always talks about this idea of new kayfabe, where The Rock is talking about, well, if Seth Rollins pisses me off, we'll just write him out. Just change the story. We'll just take his title. And it was sort of a disconnect, like Matt Camp was saying, well, if you can do that, then you could just do this over here. But I think the interesting thing, and I want to get your thoughts on this, is that The Rock in character is acknowledging the fact that Cody won the Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. And as much as it's pissing him off, as much as he's angry about the whole thing, he's also
still put him over.
Well, yes, but he's also acknowledging the fact that the fans expect, because this is what they promised as a company. Like, this was the whole purpose of the Royal Rumble was for Cody. Whoever won that Rumble match goes on to Mania. So he understands, I think, at least from what I saw, he understands that you can't just discount all of that because that negates the world that you've built. It negates the rules that you built. So,
and I love how Rock said, when I talked to you, Cody, I was like, I whispered in your ear and said, this would be the biggest match in WrestleMania history. He said, Rock, I understand. It's best for the business. And then I love when Rock said, yeah, you thought about it. You came to Vegas and then you went out and said, this is bullshit. And you changed your mind and you challenged Roman. Yeah, you had that right because you won the Royal Rumble. You have the right to decide who do you want to face as the champion you want to face. And it was really cool how they blended, everything together, within these promos, because you got The Rock who's going full-fledged heel and just shit talking Cody and his dog. And LaGreca. And then Dave's response, he was like, you're talking about the Cody Crybabies? Yeah, you're damn right. I'm proud to be a part of the Cody Crybabies. Just unbelievable. What was about 39 or 30 minutes or so, whatever it was, combined, from these two videos. Just incredible use of social media platforms.
Yeah, and so I was looking earlier. I think just the Twitter feed alone had like 6 million on it, 6 million views. I think Instagram was probably a lot more because of the following that he has there. So Tony, we mentioned the fact that he sort of plugged some holes. He gave us some answers.
Yes.
Do you buy the story? Do you buy the answers that he's given? Do you think he's giving us actual information, or do you think he's giving us what we want to hear, or what he thinks we want to hear?
Well, he already thinks that he's got stuff that he knows we're going to like, and he tells us or shows us on SmackDown. But in this instance here, during this promo, all this time on Busted Open, we've been asking the question, do you want to know what The Rock whispered into Cody's ear? And was it important enough for the story? Do you want to know or not? And we didn't know if we would get it. But yesterday on The Rock's promo, we got not just that fill in, not that gap filled in. We got a whole bunch of gaps filled in. We got the story all the way back to when they first mentioned the head of the table, the whole history behind that, and the purpose for it, and the end result, what was supposed to be. And then to the January 1st when he showed up in San Diego to gauge the crowd reaction. Then the whole, and not only did he tell us, but he had footage to back it up. Mm-hmm. When they showed up in Vegas and he brought up the fact that he saw Cody backstage, they had a moment together. Cody never pulled him aside privately to tell him that he had something that was bothering him. They show it. So you have video proof of this. Rock is not bullshitting you. He's telling you, but he's got video proof to back it up. So, we're getting everything. You just watch that promo and you get filled in all the way.
Mm-hmm. So
it's crazy.
Why did he edit out the Diablo sandwich part then?
It must have been in the damn hurry.
But yeah, The Rock knows what he's doing and it's masterful. And yeah,
we need to then talk about the 40-minute promo that was.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
because
unbelievable.
If we go back to Raw from a few years ago, they would open every show with this long talking segment, and it was what it was. It was sort of formulaic, and we would get frustrated, like, 20 minutes of talking. That's not the case here. The people involved, the story that's being told, all of it is so engaging that nobody's complaining that there was 40 minutes of talking to end to start this show with. And so, Mike, for you, like when we're seeing all this happening, are you still on board with this version of The Rock being aligned with Roman?
Yeah, I'm on board with it because that's when The Rock first started getting popular, was when he turned heel in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It was, he's naturally a heel. It's easy for him to be a baby face, but it comes naturally for him to be a heel because right off the bat, when you're talking about yourself in the third person. That if that isn't the most annoying thing of all, I mean, you know, can you imagine him in a room with Will Smith and his wife? I won't
Keep his wife's name out of his mouth.
Imagine all three of them sitting there talking in the third, you know, like. But for some reason, we put up with it with The Rock. Like it's just entertaining, and you know, and his put downs to people. I mean, you know, the meth head Marys and the crackhead Karen.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just, you know, shut up before the Rock smacks the herpes off your lip.
Yeah.
You know, no matter what he says, however degrading it is, you look like 500-pound pile of monkey crap. And
I love what he used to
laugh
say,
at it.
and he kind of mentioned it too. The Rock gets more pop than you do in a lifetime, baby.
Yeah, so you know, I mean,
But he gets to do stuff
you have
that
to be compelling to sit there in front of a wrestling crowd, let alone any crowd, but a wrestling crowd, and not wrestle.
And Mike, just to add to that as well,
hold them.
honestly,
You know, 40 minutes.
I think that his insults and his, you know, just all the things that he says as a heel, it's more creative than him being a babyface. Not knocking his babyface stuff, but to me, his insults, his trash talking, it's so more creative when he's fully dialed in as his full-fledged heel.
But there's also other people. Put that microphone in front of the most popular, you know, WWE stars you have there. Put that microphone in Seth's hand. Can Seth sit there for 40 minutes with that crowd?
no. There's one guy.
Can Randy Orton stand there for 40 minutes with that crowd?
Nope.
All right, and that's two top tier guys right there. So that proves the point. I mean,
Okay, so I have to ask, and my perspective on it's a little bit different. I think that people have to keep remembering that what did Cody say in the beginning? I'm going to take everything from you, Roman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take everything from you. I still think that this is part of a bigger plan that The Rock and Cody are working together, because in no world, anywhere outside of this storyline, would The Rock defer to anybody, but yet he acknowledged his tribal chief. That was a moment that I was like, this just sort of reinforces my idea that at some point it's going to become evident that The Rock is taking everything. He's taking that part of it, the tribal chief, the head of the table, and Cody's going to be taking the title. To me, this is part of a grander scheme that's not going to pay off in just a few weeks. I think this is a much longer story. Rock keeps saying he's a long gamer, and it's asking for a hell of a ride. One of the things I wanted to ask you guys about, one of the things we talk about a lot is how Roman evolved through the pandemic, right? How he developed his ability to connect with an at-home audience because he didn't have people screaming at him or, you know, interrupting it. And he fine-tuned that to the point where when the crowds did come back, they were forced to listen to him.
Mm-hmm.
You watched that promo last night. Roman takes you on an entire journey while he's listening to The Rock. First, he's irritated that The Rock isn't out there when he's supposed to be out there. And then he's frustrated, and then he's sort of angry at The Rock, and then he's elated because The Rock acknowledges him. There's this whole series of emotions that Roman tells just through his facial expressions.
Yeah. We've been prepped from listening to Busted Open and hearing Bully and Mark talk about it. You know, the facial, you can tell a story just from your face alone. You know, what's that story that Bully always talks about with Vince? This is where you make your money right here.
Mm-hmm.
So not only that, but here's something else that I don't know if y'all realized. I'm on an Easter egg kind of a hunt here. This whole story has been giving us Easter eggs if you've been paying attention. You know, when The Rock, when he was with the Bloodline in the ring 2 weeks ago, and at the end he held up the L, which I said that he was acknowledging LaGreca, right? Well, he did it again last night, and not only did he do it again, but he did it first, then he did this, then he did this again.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Heyman never took his eyes off of The Rock in that line when they were at the end. Paul Heyman was looking at The Rock the entire time. Paul Heyman knows something is up. Paul Heyman also looked at The Rock when The Rock was in the ring and he had his shades on and he was like, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure you walk out of WrestleMania what you are, a loser. And he was pointing directly at Roman Reigns, but Roman wasn't looking at him. Paul Heyman was looking at him. And Paul Heyman had his famous facial reaction. So if you pay attention to Paul's face, that's an Easter egg in itself. So.
Well,
yeah, and one of the things that, something that always jumps out to me, and I think we've talked about this on this show a few times, every good villain is a hero in their own story. We say it over and over again, right? Rock thinks that he is bringing something special to the audience. He always talks about it. I got something really cool you're going to like. Here's my family tree.
Yeah.
Well, that's, you're gifting us with your family tree. Okay. That's egotistical, but all right, it is cool. We'll accept that. Roman's always doing that too. Like, I did this for you. I'm putting food on your table. I'm the guy. Both of them are always have a mindset of being the heroes instead of the villains, even though they are actually, their actions would tell us otherwise.
Yeah.
Right.
So, Mike, for you, and I know you popped at when The Rock sort of talks about, he's talking about each of the members of the bloodline, and he says Solo's going to sing the national anthem.
That was hilarious.
He didn't break. Solo didn't break, and I thought he was going to.
He almost did, though.
I consider him turning and wiping his face. I'm considering that a break. Otherwise, because through all of the funniest Sammy shit, he had that face and didn't even blink.
Yeah.
You know.
But Jay was constantly rubbing his face. Jay was constantly.
Jimmy is the worst. Jimmy breaks at every single thing. Roman breaks maybe 30% of the time. But yeah.
And after The Rock said that, he kind of popped as well. I think Rock got him because Rock even kind of popped for a split second and then he got back into it.
Yeah.
Well, I point out to MJF Scarf in the chat, only 8 likes to this video. Come on. Smash that like button, y'all. I mean, just smash it. Do it. Do it. Do it.
Smash like, share it.
Do what you got to do, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do the thing.
So yet another chapter, and an interesting thing that a friend of mine was at SmackDown and said that the dark main event was, there were 2 matches. It was Damian Priest versus The Miz and Drew McIntyre versus Cody. You had 2 dark main event matches, or 2 dark matches at the end of the night. And he said nobody left. And that's sort of unusual. Usually at the end of the show, there's a percentage of the audience that leaves because it's late and whatnot. And some stay. Well, they're giving the live fans a show that makes you have to stay. And I just think that's an interesting thing to bring so much star power to non-televised matches, which I think is really cool for the people that are there.
Right.
So next thing I wanted to ask you guys, and it is what it is. Like, the star power of this storyline is taking over everything. There's a lot of other good stuff going on. I mean, we saw Damage Control last night and what happened with them. And I know our good friend John is always rooting against Dakota. And he was right.
He was right.
So, Steven, what did you think about this turn and this gang up on poor Bailey?
I mean, it was eventually coming, and it was just a matter of time when it was going to happen. And like with The Rock and Cody stuff, we finally got the answers we were waiting for last night with that. And this is just going to make Bailey an even bigger babyface. And then the fact that also to add to that, Jay Cargill was talking to Nick Aldis and all this type of stuff. Like, ooh, maybe Jay could be an ally to Bailey. I mean, who's to say? And just this is another great story because these ladies have a history with each other going back to SummerSlam in 22, and when they had the faction going and stuff. And now that Bailey has turned complete good guy, I think this is going to be a strong women's match. I mean, hell, both women's matches at WrestleMania this year. Becky and Rhea and Io and Bailey are just four of the best women's wrestlers on the WWE roster. You can make the argument for either one of these four women and say that one's the best. No, that one's the best. You know?
But I'm really happy for Bailey.
Me too.
It's just one could argue she was definitely one of the talents that was an MVP of the pandemic era. If everybody wants to call it that, but she certainly was. I mean, she really held it together. She got handed this, damage control, and in the beginning, we all were like, we don't know what the hell's going on with this, but it kind of started coming together, and here we go. She won the Women's Royal Rumble, and she's gonna be in WrestleMania finally, going for the title, and I think she's gonna get it.
I just think she needs more shine. I mean, she hasn't been shown near enough. Like, shown, yes, on SmackDown, but I'm talking about the shine, because Rhea's getting the shine, Becky's getting the shine.
I agree.
Someone that's not even in the main event, Bianca Belair, is getting the shine, but no Bailey. So what gives? That's my only issue with the whole thing. Is I'm glad Bailey's there. I'm glad she's getting the world title shot against Io Sky, but where is she at on the posters and stuff? That's my only get up with it.
Yeah, and I think that was the intention last night, was to build sympathy and build some sort of connection with this good guy or good girl, Bailey.
Yeah.
But now it's 3 against 1. Like, so you have a month now. We have a month from now until WrestleMania, roughly, right? A month from today. That's a lot of TV time. That's a lot of landscape to fill. What story are they going to tell with them? Is Bailey going to find some backup?
Well,
and who?
I think so.
If we're considering last night an Easter egg, yeah, she's got some backup in Jade Cargill if the cards are played right. I mean, she had a stare down with him for about 5 seconds, and then she got whisked away by Nick Aldis. So, or was it Adam Pearce? I can't remember.
No, it's Nick Aldis. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So I mean, there's something planted right there. Whether they choose to go forward with it or not remains to be seen. But I mean, we need to see Jade doing something. What better way to see her doing something than to helping Bailey out with damage control?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I absolutely love what they're doing with Nick. I think Nick is an incredible addition. We've been saying it for months. He's a great general manager. He has that presence of like multiple-time world champion, former NWA champion. He's a big dude. He's a young guy who can still go in the ring. He's not going to back down to anyone, but he also has that respect of the talent where he is acting in a role as in an administrative role rather than like an in-ring talent role, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. So when he's interacting with people like Jade, he's like, okay, we're going to go over here and have a business conversation. And that's exciting. What's that conversation going to be? And even when he aligned with Adam Pearce to stand with Triple H in that conversation, again, with, when Triple H made that statement against The Rock, and we still don't know what's going to happen there. Not to go back to that story again, but that's a big question mark that's hanging out there. So what are Nick and Adam Pearce going to do as we get closer to WrestleMania? Is Nick gathering an army? Maybe it all ties together. I don't know. Who's to say?
Yeah.
Oh, Dave Mitchell's in the chat.
What's up, Dave?
What's up, Dave?
What's up, David? So, and let's see. There's so many people in the chat tonight. Thanks everybody for joining.
MJ.
Oh yeah.
Scarf.
MJ Scarf's out there.
RJ Krasinski.
Yep. Neil, of course, and all of our folks that are out at shows.
Yep.
I've seen some conversations around Gunther and where that's headed. Do you think that WrestleMania is the time for him to eventually lose to a credible challenger and then go on to maybe face one of the world title holders? Or do you want to see him continue his streak past WrestleMania? Start with Mike.
Yeah, that's it. Ooh, That's a hard one. I mean, he's already put such credibility on the Intercontinental title. If he drops it, I'd like to see him keep going with it, and then depending on how it goes with the heavyweight title, I'd like to see him just like relinquish it to go for that title. I've done enough with this title. I've given it all the prestige. None of you can beat me anyway. Here, I'm giving this one up. I'm going for that now.
Whoever beats him is going to be a made man because he has elevated that championship belt to its highest, juncture that it's been in quite some time. I mean, because Gunther is just an incredible specimen, just how physical he is in the ring, and he's gotten really good on the mic and very confident, and just, I think sooner rather than later, I think he's gunning for that world title.
And you know what, Steven? I'd like to see him drop it when hopefully Dragunov comes up.
Yes,
well,
that's what I want to see.
That the universe needs to see that. I mean, part of the universe has seen that if they watched NXT UK and
please.
But, I mean, really, I mean, they
I want that match so bad.
That they will definitely make it a classic. It will be a banger of a match, whatever cliche you want to put on it.
I think if he shows up, it's going to be on the Raw after Mania.
It will be a slobber knocker. It will be a banger, whatever.
Yeah, Steven, I think to your point, I think what I would do if I had the pencil, and I don't currently have a pencil, what I would do is I would definitely bring him up and establish him with the Raw or SmackDown roster and the audience to get him more well known. Obviously, he's the current NXT champion, so he's pretty well known.
Yeah.
But then you have all that footage of their match in the UK, their feud in NXT UK, and I still think it's to this day one of my favorite Walter/Gunther matches. And I would keep that title on Gunther for a while.
Here's a question for you.
It was ready.
So Gunther's in the ring on the mic, and he's like, "All right, I've beaten a lot of you guys. I've beaten everybody that there is to beat here on Raw. Who here wants to accept my challenge?" And then here's a guy that's in the crowd, and it's Dragunov.
Yeah. Or I just thought, I mean, Chad Gable did give a pretty impassioned.
He did.
He gave a pretty impassioned speech to Aldis, and that's just.
And also, he gave Gunther a run for his money in that main event on Raw a couple of months ago, which was a great match.
Or on Raw, I mean to.
Yeah. Adam Pearce, scrap that.
Adam Pearce, I don't know what happened to the hair.
Okay, I got a question for you guys. We know, because they've told us a million times, that Cody and Roman are going to main event night 2. But what's being called WrestleMania Sunday. They don't go by night 1, night 2. It's WrestleMania Saturday and WrestleMania Sunday. WrestleMania Saturday has some contenders for that main event slot. You've got obviously the winner of the Rumble, Bayley and Io Sky. You've got Rhea and Becky. You have the tag match between Rock and Roman and Seth and Cody. And there's probably a few more I'm not even thinking about. So that's 3 or 4 matches that could easily be contenders for that main event spot. Who do you put there? Let's start with you, Tony.
Night 1 or WrestleMania Saturday, I would put Rhea and Becky, the main event, night 1. Have the tag match as close, like Bully says, start off hot. I would put that tag match to kick off WrestleMania Saturday. I know it's like we talked about on Zoom, I think it was last night. It's odd to put The Rock in a opening match and not a main event spot, but it's a tag match. It's different. It's, in my opinion, it's different. Plus, you want to give those guys as much rest as possible, you know? So I say kick off. I say kick off Saturday with it.
First thing that came to my mind when you said that, I said that would give them the most amount of time to rest.
not just that, but if that, because that's what I think too, as far as the kickoff. But I'll respectfully disagree with Tony's opinion on the main event, which I could see that happening. But I think that they'll kick off with the tag match because it makes sense. Cody, Roman, Rock are starting off the show, and then they'll end night 2 with, obviously, because I think that Rock and Roman are going to win, and it's not just a matter of time. But we know Cody and Seth are not going to back down, because there is no easy way out. They'll stand their ground. But
for reference,
yes. and to add to who I think the main event's going to be, I think that for night 1 it's going to be Io and Bayley.
Yeah, I would like that too, because they keep telling us that the winner of the Royal Rumble gets main event from WrestleMania. And I think that year over year, the women sort of get pushed to the side for other high profile matches. So I think that they should stick to their promise. But your point's interesting, because all 4 of those guys are going to be in some form or fashion performing on Sunday. Seth's going to be defending his title against Drew. And then obviously Cody and Roman have a match, and The Rock's going to be involved somehow. So all 4 of those guys will be having either matches or interactions on both nights.
And it's really cool because Bryan Danielson kicked off Mania 30 and he ended Mania 30. So it's kind of cool because we talked about this after one of the SmackDowns, and we were like, what if they do a tag match between Rock, Roman, Seth, and Cody? And here we are, and I think it's really cool. I think everybody can play it safe, especially Rock, who hasn't wrestled a full match in 11 years, and Seth, we don't know. He says he's going to be clear to compete, but we don't know how bad the knee is and stuff like that, his meniscus is, and all that stuff. And plus, this will really make WrestleMania 40. They're calling it the biggest WrestleMania of all time, and they wouldn't be lying if you have The Rock, Roman, Cody, and Seth kicking off or wrestling at WrestleMania, and then obviously Roman and Cody main eventing night 2.
Well, they've got a lot to live up to outshine WrestleMania 17.
Yes, still the greatest WrestleMania.
Being that I was there live and saw it in person. Yeah,
Mania 17 and Mania 19 are always my favorite Manias.
I was live and there in person.
Yep.
And I was at both of those.
Yep.
Yeah.
You was at Steve Austin and Rock and Houston, and he was in Seattle for 19. Both incredible Manias.
Yep.
Okay, it's going to be awesome. And I think it was already going to be the biggest WrestleMania of all time before The Rock stepped foot into the picture, just based on the ticket sales, based on, just the visibility. All the shows are sold out. The merchandise is through the roof. All the metrics that would we could judge it by are pretty much home runs. So it's going to be amazing. So we have a few minutes here. I'm going to shift gears to AEW Revolution, because we've heard a lot about Sting's last match. We've heard a lot about people's opinions, people's predictions. I know there's 10 other matches on the card, and we can talk about those, but really the thing that everybody's focusing on is this last match. So, Tony, I do want to start with you, because I was with you when you had an interaction with Sting, and I don't know if you want to talk about that. And you talked about that last year, but maybe share that with the new folks in the chat.
Well, I've got 2 interactions I'd like to talk about. First, I'll start off with the interaction that you witnessed. I can't remember who said it. Oh, it was on Busted Open. It was Jeff Jarrett, I think, or somebody said that when Sting looks at you, when you're talking to Sting, it might have even been Thunder. When you're talking to Sting, it's like he's looking into your soul, like he can see into your soul, right? Well, when me and you were in San Antonio when Thunder won the title that night, we were there front row, and Sting and Darby comes out. Darby gets in the ring. Sting stays on the floor and is doing his little walk around. And then he's standing on the opposite side of the ring, and we're on this side, and he's on the direct opposite. And I see him look my direction. And then Sting just casually walks back around the entranceway, walks directly to, it was you, Shannon, me, Brian. He walks directly to me and two sweets me. And we have like a little bit of a moment, just two sweeting each other. And he was looking like into my soul. And I'm filming this interaction because I'm filming Sting. But then whenever he gets right to me, my camera drops, and rightfully so. I mean, you want to have a moment with somebody. You don't want to sit there with a phone in their face. I mean, that's stupid.
Yep.
But I mean, that, and not only that, we two sweeted each other. But after the match, he comes back over and two sweets me again. And I mean, I'm a huge Sting fan. I'm a little Stinger since 1987 is when I first started watching wrestling. And the first interaction I had with Sting involves Bully Ray. Bully was there at a signing in Ardmore, Oklahoma in 2017, I want to say. In October of 2017 at Oklahomania 2. And this was my first meeting with Bully. And we had a great interaction. He signed my belt. I had a Universal title, WWE Universal title, and he signed it. And I told him that I was planning on meeting Sting and having him sign it too. He was like, "Oh man, that'll be awesome." And so we took our picture and I walked away. And so I'm out in the crowd and Sting had already left. He wasn't signing at the time. He had already left. So I was wondering if he was coming back to do another signing because I had gotten there and he was already gone. So I found the promoter, and his name is Jerry Bostic. Shout out to Jerry Bostic. We became friends after that day. And I walked up to Jerry and I said, "Hey, Jerry, is Sting coming back to do a signing?" He's like, "Well, he had to leave early. He had something going on and he had to leave early, but he'll be back for the show." And then as I'm talking to Jerry Bostic, he looks at his phone. He was like, "Oh, speak of the devil. What's up, Stinger? Oh, you're back there now? All right, I'll be back there in a few minutes." Hangs up the phone, looks at me, and he goes, "You want to meet Sting?" I said, "Hell yes." He said, "Follow me." So we walked to the back. He asked me to get an ashtray and hold the door open, the glass door, right? And I held it open, pushed the ashtray to hold the door open, turn around, and there's Sting with his face paint. No face paint. He was wearing his Oakleys, and he was wearing the Scorpion shirt, and I had the same shirt on. And he was walking around to the passenger side of his SUV to let his wife out. And Jerry said, "Stinger, I need you to do me a favor." He said, "Anything, boss man." He said, "I've got a friend here that would like to meet you." And he looks at me, and that was our first meeting. I shook his hand, and I was starstruck, man. He introduced me to his wife. He asked me, "What can I do for you, man?" And I was like, "Well, I was wondering if you would sign my belt." And he was like, "Anything, man." He signed my belt, put his Hall of Fame signature on it. And so he asked me if he could do anything else for me. And, normally I'd want to take a picture, but I respected the fact that he did not have his face paint on. And I wasn't going to ask for a picture when he wasn't in his full costume. So I was like, "No, just meeting you is an honor." And so I walk away. The first thing I do when I get away from them and into the hall there, or into the lobby, tears came to my eyes. I started bawling like a baby. The first person to see me was Bully. He goes, "Did you get to meet him?" And I see him. He's right over there. And I'm like, I'm tearing. I had to wipe the tears away. I was like, "Yeah, I got to meet him." I showed him the belt. And here's my best Bully impression. "That's fucking awesome, ain't it?" And he fist bumped me. And that was it. So that was an amazing day where I got to meet Bully for the first time, and I got to meet Sting. And the meeting with Sting, little did I know, would just last, because I had an interaction with him as a kid. He sent me a letter and he signed it, and I wish I'd have kept that. But getting to meet him that first time, it lasted all this time. And I've met him in Philly at a meet and greet. And he knew who I was then. He has a true connection with his fans, and I truly believe that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just the resume that he has built for nearly 40 years in professional wrestling, it is just incredible. And he's one of the few wrestling celebrities that I can truly say that he does not have an ego about him. He is who he is. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and he loves the fans. And I would make the argument, besides his WCW run, which is incredible, multi-time world champion in WCW. His run in All Elite Wrestling has just been nothing but a grand slam. I mean, just everything he's done. It's been moment after moment, moment after moment. And who's been with him that entire time? Darby Allin.
Yep.
And this is a culmination of a lot of things. For one, this will be Sting's, how fitting, his first match with Ric Flair was at the Coliseum for Clash of the Champions #1. And his final match will be in that same historic Greensboro Coliseum in North Carolina tomorrow night. And just an incredible run that Sting has had. And I'm telling you what, there will be a lot of emotions in the building. There will be a lot of emotions on, Zoom watching the pay-per-view, because there's going to be some good moments and some sad moments. But overall, it's going to be, tears of joy, because he gets to go out on his own terms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something I think is really, to me, I heard them talking about on Busted Open that today they were talking about the fans having an appetite for long-term storytelling. And, there's that microwave mentality. And then we talk about the fast food concept of like consume and forget. However, in WWE, we have this long-term story with the bloodline that is getting bigger and bigger and more intriguing. To me, AEW has that story with Sting and Darby Allin. It's been 3+ years that they've told this story of friendship and partnership and the ups and the downs and like the struggles and triumphs of them as independent individuals and as a tag team. But they've never broken up. Like they've remained a cohesive unit through this entire run. And I think that is time-wise about the same, and everyone's as invested now as they were at the beginning. Mike, would you agree?
Yeah, I'd agree. Definitely. And we're seeing this guy do stuff that, I mean,
jumping off of
it's just amazing
things. Unbelievable.
What amazes me is he took a simple buckle bomb and injured himself, and that's no one's fault. That no matter what the idiots say,
it's the nature of the business.
Fault. That's what happens. You could talk about how he was booked wrong. I mean, that we could talk for hours about that.
Yeah, we don't know. We weren't there. So.
He got injured, and that was that. He comes back here, and he's diving off of balconies, and he's going through tables, and he's taking amazing bumps. He's doing double scorpion deathlocks, and he's no-selling the young boys, which he should, since that's what they do. Teach them a lesson and give them a couple of potatoes too upside the head, and it's just amazing.
Right upside your head.
Amazing, and I like exactly what you said. Him and Darby never strayed. It was never like, there's dissension and can they ever coexist again? None of that crap ever happened. It was just straight on through. He saw in this kid what was in him when he was younger, and they put that that crow-like mentality with each other, and they hooked up together, and it's a perfect pairing.
It's what I would make the argument too, as far as Sting is concerned. He had one of the most unbelievable debuts in AEW's history, their short-term history, because it came out of nowhere, and when he came out, Shivani uttered out the intimate line, "It's Sting!" Just it was incredible, and the usage of Sting in AEW has been 10 times better, than his run in WWE, and all of his runs from WCW, TNA, and now obviously AEW have been really well done.
Every match meant something, and you know what? We give the man, people joke about the guy, people rag on him, and we have some opinions sometimes that don't go his way, but you know what? Give TK his flowers, man. TK has done right with Sting. He really, he's done right by a lot of things. His honoring of the Briscoe brothers, and
Brody Lee
stuff. You know what I mean. And his doing this is sending Sting out the right way, to getting the rights to Seek and Destroy, to let Sting come out.
Oh, that was
at Wembley with that
unbelievable.
thing. You know, that's just great.
Wrong album, but
To make my friend Tony cry, on live TV, that's priceless.
And I tell you what was also cool, a tip to the cap of his career, the fact that he repelled from the Raptors. It's like, holy shit,
yes.
he has not done that in years.
Also, we'd be remiss if we didn't say, hey, listen, he didn't just book that. He made sure he talked to Martha Hart and got her blessings, and you know, that she said without a doubt that's what he did. You know, let him go out that way, and that was a bang up job.
And not only is he going out, you know, in his own way, but if that is his last promo as a active competitor a couple weeks ago, my God, that was his best promo in AEW. I mean, soft spoken, straight to the heart, you know, and you felt every word that he said towards the Bucks and all that type of stuff, and just unbelievable.
Okay, so I think we can all agree that the AEW run's been a home run, wild success, and we've heard from a lot of veterans who are friends with Sting who have also said, yeah, they've done him right. They've done a good job in letting him be himself and present and do all the things that he wanted to do. The big question is, how does tomorrow night end?
Ooh, that's the
Tony?
difficult one.
well, they're the tag champs. That's what makes this hard. Because normally you'd want to see someone when they're going out. You want to see, you know, them lay down and take the pin, but it's Sting. I mean, I see the Bucks getting the titles, but it has to be. I just don't know how, unless they just have some elaborate way to end it and still have Sting out. I mean, if Darby takes the pin, yeah. I mean, you've got so many factors. You got Ric Flair. You got the Bucks.
Yeah, what the hell did Flair and them talk about? That's what I want to know.
Well, you know, Flair got right on Dynamite. He came out at the end and helped Darby and Sting there. So I think Rick's on board with Sting and Darby. I just don't know how. I mean, this is going to be interesting tomorrow, right? We can't sit here and talk about how it's going to end, because it's going to be something special. I think it's going to be the main event. In all due respect to the world title, because usually you want to see the world championship be the main event. But this pay-per-view is centered around Sting, and it's his last match. I think the world title will be the co-main event, and Sting's match will be the main event. It's got to go out that way.
Now, Tony, you said Flair did right, like Dakota Kai did right for Bailey a week or so ago.
Good point.
No, there's always
Double
the
turn.
The dirtiest player in the game. The dirtiest player in the game.
Because that's the question, right? Like, what's the business of the business that they're trying to accomplish? Bully and everybody talked about it this week. What happens next Wednesday? Well, the Young Bucks are there. They're established. They're EVPs. They're the bad guys. They're the tag team that everyone hates, right? Or, the characters that everybody hates. On paper, if you want to really get all the heat, you really want to get the fans really pissed off, you know where that goes. I understand the image of having confetti and having Sting and Darby standing tall and having that magical moment, but that doesn't really lead anywhere. So I can see it going both ways. For me, as much as I would hate to say it, I think the Young Bucks are going to win.
I do too. But what are the chances of, the Bucks have done some down and dirty things to Sting and Darby. They attacked the man's family, for God's sake. So you can't. There was a part of me thinking that what if they have such an amazing match that Sting and Darby and the Bucks show some respect to each other at the end, even though the Bucks win the championships, and show some respect to each other, and then they join in on the celebration. But I was just thinking this, Tony, as well, because
that won't happen.
So
So
that takes all of the equity and energy that they built into this new version of their characters. They
Right.
have to stay in character.
Right.
They
agree.
have to keep
They
doing
were
what they're
walking
doing
around with blood-stained suits for
Yeah,
with their
and
blood.
for weeks. Yeah.
That's why I'm saying it's silly to think that because of the things they've done to Sting and Darby. They like it's the same thing with Swerve and Hangman, where Swerve broke into Hangman's house and threatened his little baby. And now you're seeing Swerve getting cheered, and he's possibly going to be the new champion tomorrow.
That's just the way the crowd's driven that, so that makes sense.
Yeah. And then also as
Steve,
well,
what about you?
As far as that main event is concerned, when it comes to how I think it's going to go, I mean, I think you have to have the Bucks win. You have to. But I do think eventually, I think even obviously if Sting and Darby wins, Sting's going to get that moment. But even in defeat, Sting will get the ring to himself, and he will get that thank you, Sting, and all that type of stuff. And I was just thinking this too. So when it comes to what Sting said in the promo, that you have no idea basically what you're dealing with. And what if what if it's like the kid, the father teaches the kid a lesson, and you teach him respect. In this case, what if Sting beats the holy hell out of Nicholas and Matthew Jackson and beats some respect into them, and all that type of stuff, like, because Sting's going in there knowing that this is his last match. He's going to go in there guns a-blazing.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to walk in there with the fuck it all, fucking no regrets mentality. And
Damage Incorporated.
Go! Go! Because blood will follow blood.
Well, I know it's going to be awesome. We're all going to be watching. It's going to be exciting. They've got 11 matches on the card. A couple of them are on the 0 hour pre-show. It's going to be super fun. Okay, let's let everybody go. It's
holy smokes, an hour went by that quick. Jeez.
I'm telling you, man. It's not as fast as Busted Open After Dark, which is the fastest hour in radio. But we did go pretty quickly tonight. Tony, where can people find you on the socials?
Well, normally I have my handle down here, but I had to change it for the night. So #thank you Sting. But you can find me at Tony Justice AJFA. And if you're a Metallica fan, like I know all of us are, you know what that means. Ooh.
Mike?
You can find me at Mongrovian Mike or Meth Head Mary. And thank you to Sting for all the years, the decades of great entertainment, and even though we never got the dream Undertaker versus Sting,
Yeah.
Hey, we're sending the man out in style. He's going out the way he wants, and if people want to cry a little early, go watch the video that the Tribune has.
Yeah.
It's very heart-wrenching, and pretty soon maybe my evolution of Sting figures there are going to go up in price.
Maybe. Who's
Nice.
Who's to say?
Tony will be begging for those in the will.
Hey, how about you,
That's
Steven?
it, man. Let's go Revolution. It's all for
I think also I used to have one of those jars where you collect coins and stuff, and I used to have a Sting one, so that would probably go up in price too. But anyways, you can follow me on Twitter at Steven_Wyand. You can also follow our nation's show. Our Nation Sports Show on Twitter at _sports show, Facebook.com/Our Nation Sports Show, and also YouTube.com/Our Nation Sports Show, where we are live on every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 4 p.m. Pacific time, where we talk about nothing. Of course, we talk about sports.
Everyone's so excited about his retirement. He's even on this week's TV Guide. It's unbelievable. Tony.
It's guy time.
It's showtime.
Oh, that's going to be so
Nice.
great tomorrow when Sting utters that final line
my
for the
God.
final time. It's showtime.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Well, you can find me at PW Front Row on all the socials. You can follow us at Nation's Corner on X. You can follow us.
Oh, man.
Children.
I deal with fucking children.
On that note, thank you everybody for joining us. We will see y'all next week. Later.